Okay, DEO Nation, unbelievably excited. We have Mark Manson with us here today. So Mark is going to be one of our featured speakers in the now virtual DEO Summit. A lot of you are used to coming to Phoenix every year. We have, for obvious reasons, turned virtual on that, and it's going to be absolutely incredible. And one of the things is we're able to secure a speaker like Mark. So Mark, for those of people who have not, for somehow, seen your books or your book or heard of you, maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself here.
Sure. So I'm the best-selling author of The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And also my recent book, Everything is Fucked, a book about hope. I feel weird promoting myself. I guess this is one of those moments where I'm supposed to pump myself up, but my books have been #1 in like 14 different countries and sold millions of copies. And I also run an online business at markmanson.net. I publish a lot of personal development material. I've been doing that for about 12 years, have a team of my own, work remotely, and definitely dealing with a lot of what we're going through right now. So yeah, that's me. And I'm looking forward to hopping onto the virtual summit.
Yeah, so it's funny. I didn't know if you're gonna throw the F-bombs or not in your titles. So, of course, you have to, right? So it's good. Yeah. I like it. So it's funny with the titles of your books. Obviously, everything is effed right now,
Sure.
and so I don't know if you saw this coming, or I mean, how do you think about that? I mean, how did those books, how are they related to our current situation? It's fairly obvious, I guess.
Well, F-bombs aside, I always joke that like it's really what I write about is values and personal values. But if I wrote a book about personal values, nobody would buy it. So I put the F word on the cover. It's like kind of a Trojan horse to sneak the message into people's minds. Really like all my work revolves around dealing with struggles, kind of the inevitability of struggle and uncertainty in life, and crystallizing one's values, because it's really only understanding what you value as a person that kind of acts as a compass in uncertain times like this. So even though I wrote my books during a very prosperous period where there was a lot of certainty, I think a lot of people are finding it to be very relevant today. And so I've been very active the past couple months, been writing stuff every week, publishing stuff online, sending out newsletters. Because this is, I mean, I joke that it's like, when you build a brand around suffering and struggle, then you're kind of recession proof. So I've had a lot of work the past couple of months.
Yes, yeah. It's funny because I do find in these periods that folks are kind of looking for somebody to turn to and listen to. So the fact that you've been kind of writing about this personal values aspect of really life and business, it's going to be kind of time tested. It's never going to go anywhere. So yeah.
Yeah, I was, and it's whether it's an economic crisis, a public health crisis, whether it's a death in your family, whether it's a major lawsuit that derails your company, life is always going to throw curveballs at you. Life is always going to pull the rug out from under you. And it looks different each time, but I think ultimately kind of the emotional process that we go through and the psychological process we go through is very similar.
So that's an awesome segue, because the audience is gonna be full of dentists, entrepreneurs. A lot of these folks have, there's some folks just kind of your local dental practice, but a lot of them have more than one and have many employees, 10, 20, 50, 100, 200 employees. And that's exactly what's happened, right? The rug has been pulled out from underneath them. So I think a lot about how do you develop, when there's so much uncertainty, how do you think with certainty? How do you develop a plan? What are your thoughts on operating in a world that is just so unclear right now?
I think it's, there's always a certain degree of uncertainty, but when there's as much as there is now, I find that you kind of have to just make up the worst case scenario. So you just imagine, okay, what is the worst possible outcome that can happen here? And how can I act in such a way to protect myself against that, or to soften that potential? Because it's, the traditional cheesy advice you hear in times like this is like, oh, stay positive and just, believe in each other and yada, yada, yada. And I don't think that's very helpful. I think it's prepare for the worst, hope for the best, but prepare for the worst. And, and then when things turn out better than expected, it will feel as a relief rather than, whatever.
And yes, and then finally, which is the hope part, right? And the everything is a book about hope. So where do you see? I mean, there's a lot of talk about opportunities and all that kind of stuff, and it's hard to talk about opportunities when things are so crazy around all of us. But how are you thinking about the future? Where is the hope as you see it? Maybe generally, and then even in business or entrepreneurship. What are your thoughts?
I think right now, and we're recording this mid-April. But I think right now, the first few months of this, it's just so chaotic. So many people are staying home. So many people are quarantined. The government's doing all sorts of massive actions. We're kind of in a chaotic period. I think eventually by the summer, hopefully by the time the summit happens, things are going to kind of stabilize a little bit. And I actually think if you can survive these first few months, I think there will be a lot of opportunities in the latter half of the year. You're going to have a super cheap labor market. You're going to have super cheap loans and money. A lot of people going out of business, a lot of competitors going out of business. So it's, recessions suck, obviously, but these are the times when actually some of the best opportunities happen. So I think the game right now is survive, and then down the road, it will be opportunities to thrive.
Amazing. Well, we're going to get much more into this in June. You're an entrepreneur yourself. You've been an entrepreneur for many years. You can relate to a lot of things that folks are going through, and you've been thinking and writing about pretty much situations. Not this exact one, I don't think. I missed the pandemic article. I don't think that was a few.
I missed this one.
I don't think everyone did, but you've been writing on this similar ideas for a long time, and so I think it's a great time to hear from you and just get grounded, and figure out ways that we can develop some kind of plan going forward. So that's what we'll do in June. So Mark, thanks so much. Thanks for coming and talking to the dental community. I've seen your book passed around a lot of
awesome.
a lot of our insider Facebook groups. When everyone's struggling, throw your book out there. It's a great book to read. Right? So thank you so much. Looking forward to it.
Awesome, man. I'll see you there.
All right.